Had a good open week. I'm proud of the players. It's a little bit different. We practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday last night, and rather than the normal Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we had fall break here on campus. So the university was shut down Thursday and Friday. You're adding some layers, cafeteria and all that being shut down on Thursday. So we did that, and I thought we got some good work. All the players were back on time yesterday and ready to go. So that was good. We did some fundamental work and did a little bit of good on good work, but we trying to get some guys back that were banged up that have played a lot. We starting to get concerned with our depth at the offensive line, our depth at linebacker. I think was critical moving forward. Safety position a little bit too. So hopefully, we redshirted some guys last week. Landon Barrett missed the Southeastern game. He got hurt in the Stephen F. Austin game. Hopefully, we'll get him back. Maury Sibley had been nursing some injuries. Had a toe that hopefully got fixed last week. Hopefully, he'll be back ready to go. I think Bryce Strong has a shot this week for sure. It looks like. We'll see how that goes. We just had guys that have been banged up and stuff. So we got some good work in. We thought, and I made it clear to the coaches and the players that we're going to treat this open week and prepare for the last six, not to relive the first six. You can't get them back. So we felt like that in order for us to have the best chance we have this week and the next weeks, we need to get some guys well and stuff. And so we tried to do that. And so anyway, I thought we had a good week. Plus, as a staff, we recruited a lot. Going all the way back to Southeastern, just a really poor job by me. I think preparing our team. We were kind of in a pretty tough stretch there. If you go back and watch the film, our guys are trying. I mean, we're trying to play, we're playing, and it's just not happening and stuff. It just, like I said, I was concerned about it in the beginning of the week. I talked to the staff about it beginning of the week, and I basically didn't do what we needed to do. I think we were in a tough stretch there. I still, you're kind of as a head coach looking at it. We have a bunch of guys on our football team that haven't played a lot of football the last several years. I think you can get better the harder you practice. You got to push. You can get whatever, and we just didn't have enough gas in the tank. I think by that time, and what we needed to play against a good football team. So anyway, I'll take the blame for that, and hopefully we can do better in the future. But HCU, they're 2-4 on the year. They're doing some good stuff. They lost to Northern Colorado in overtime. They could very easily be 3-3. They lost to Eastern Kentucky in a really close game at Eastern Kentucky, which I thought they played good. They ended up losing by 10 points. They actually had an opportunity to take the lead late in the game, and one of their kids pick sixed, intercepted the ball, and there's nobody within 20 or 30 yards, and he's going in the end zone and held the ball up to celebrate and dropped it at the one, kicked it out of bounds, and so, or they could have easily, like I said, I mean, they were right there, with opportunity to win that game as well. So, um, offensively, quarterback's a Mississippi State transfer, and throws it good. I've been impressed with their running back who had over 200 yards last week. Number 24, the Edwards kid, 625 on the season. They're two wideouts that kind of stand out when you watch the film. Number 8 is a transfer from Houston. He looks the part and has made some really good plays this year. Going back through last year's stuff, number 2, the McMillan kid, has been there for a while. It's his 4th year of playing, and so he's been very, very productive. Offensive line wise, they've kind of shifted some guys around. They have big guys and stuff, and I think they're trying to find their 5 guys. Defensively, they do a lot. Big guys up front. They've actually played really good defense this year. When you look at their stats for the season, they've played well. Especially if you take out the Nebraska game. They've played pretty solid defensively this year. A couple guys that kind of stand out on the defensive side. The Dansby kid, I think, is a really good player. One of their linebackers. If I remember right, he played there and then transferred to Memphis, I think, and then transferred back this year. But he's a good football player. He's their leader in tackles, plus he's their leader in tackles for loss. He had a pick 6 in the Houston Northern Colorado game. In that game, whatever. But again, kind of what we've been seeing: big guys up front, They're 295 and 300 at defensive tackles, and they have some links. So we'll have to play good, and obviously we'll have to play better than the last time that we were out. But I really like the attitude of the players. Like I said, we had some good work this week, both last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and last night's the best practice we've had since I've been here. Now, the weather was nice, and they had 3 days off. But anyway, hopefully we can get back on the routine. Um, you know, hopefully it's kind of you know trending that way. Actually, the Southeastern game, which I don't know if it helped or hurted, but it was the first week that we actually got to practice all 3 days of the preparation since we started this year and stuff. So hopefully that uh, lightning, thermal, whatever trend is hopefully maybe moving away from us a little bit, and we can get to a little bit more consistent preparation and stuff in terms of what we need to do here for this week. So, any questions?
Yeah, you talked about the attitude in that. The big portion you worried about was any carryovers. How do you flush the first half, and then is it just an attitude? Just say we're just moving on.
Yeah, you just have to and stuff. So I haven't talked about it since the day after the game. So I'm not going to talk about it. You know, you can't get it back. There are no mulligans and stuff. So, but I mean, we talked a little bit about it obviously the next day, and you know, went through what we thought went wrong and stuff, and then you move forward and stuff. So,
Coach, during an open week, the open week and then the prep week for this game, with your experience, is it possible to make wholesale changes on schemes, or like you said, it's just you have to get back to the basics and the fundamentals and sure up those issues?
you can't make changes like that. I mean, not wholesale changes like you're talking about. I think you can tweak some stuff. You can go back and, hey, what's working, what's not working. Maybe we're asking these guys to do something that, hey, you know what, after 6 weeks, maybe that's just not the best thing, maybe in the positions they're in and stuff. So I think you have to look at all that. But in terms of, reinventing what you do on defense or, totally reinventing what you do on offense, there's not enough time for that.
What are you hoping to see change heading into this week to help you guys better compete in this conference?
I've up until the last game, I like the way we've competed. I really do. Obviously, and they were, they didn't like it either. How it turned it out, but I think we just get back to competing and making less mistakes. However, but in terms of just competing and the competitive spirit and all that, I thought that's actually been pretty good up until the last week.
How do you deal with coming back and now it's homecoming, which is a whole nother set of
Yeah,
possible things?
yeah, I know. I'm sure that'll come up at some point too, and you know, uh, but I didn't realize it was homecoming, and then I haven't been here in so long, so I don't even know what. I think I got to do some Thursday night with the seniors, I think, but other than that, I mean, I don't know.
But you want to get back to focus. It's a different kind of focus for a homecoming week.
I guess I'm gonna find out because I haven't been here in a while for homecoming, so I don't know the layers and all that stuff. Aaron's supposed to like keep me informed all that, but he's been kind of
So we blame him.
yeah. Well, I will if it don't work out.
Coach, after Southeastern, and I know it was after an emotional game and a tough loss, you said you didn't have answers. Maybe you may have mentioned that.
I didn't have
Okay,
answers for
more
that
questions.
night at the time. Yeah,
So, over these 2 weeks, can you tell us what kind of answers that
I just thought that, to be honest with you, I mean, after watching the film, I think we got guys out there trying. I mean, it just didn't happen. I mean, I thought we had guys that were a step or two slower than what they were. At times we didn't execute. Stuff. We were just really off and stuff. And I think that's the ultimate job of a coach is to you got to get them to where and leading up to it. However, our Tuesday Wednesday practices weren't very good. Thursday got a little better, so we kind of got some hope. But the Friday, so the attention to detail, guys were here, guys were on time, attitude was good, the whole thing. I mean, so I can't, there's nothing you can go back and attribute it to that, or anything like that and stuff. So, but no, obviously walking off the field, walking in here, that's always the interesting thing, the Friday night. 10 minutes after the game, post game press conference. I mean, I ain't got a clue. I'm sitting there trying to figure everything out, like and stuff. So I didn't have any answers when I walked in here, and I'm not going to make up some. You know.
The the issues of first down and getting yourself into better third downs.
Yeah.
Did you do a little self scouting in that, or
Yeah.
did
We
you notice any trends?
just so we're not getting the yards we need. Yeah, but no, I mean we got to look at it. We've looked at all that, play calling, all that stuff to try to get us in better positions and stuff. And we actually got in the for the first part of the game the other night. We actually got in, more manageable stuff. And the pick six was on first down actually, and stuff. So was one no, it was on a fastball third down, but that was excuse me, yeah, we fastballed if I remember right, and it was on a third down, but it was a lot more manageable than what we had been doing, and we just obviously didn't execute stuff. So, but no, I think it's a combination of bunch of things, Jim, that that we certainly have looked at.
Have you digging in the game field for the first 6 weeks with Jake Strong and the picks? Have you noticed anything? Have you and Kyler sat down with him and said, okay, this is what you're seeing?
I think the first there were several early in the season which we kind of looked at that high balls over the middle, and stuff, and trying to get the rule of thumb over the middle is a waste of the face. You don't want balls high over the middle and stuff, and so that was a trend. I think the first pick six, and he and I talked about that at length too the next day. But give Southeastern credit. They played a coverage that we have not worked, and we did not work, and they just switched coverage, and they actually bracketed to the boundary rather than dropping the safety. They just sat him there, and he just hurried it, and just really made a bad decision off of that. But it was something that they had been hurt on in the past, and and I told him, I said, hey, we didn't give you that look, but check it down. Let's go to the next play, and so I, just, I don't even remember the second one was, yeah. I didn't even know what to tell him on that one. I mean, number one, I thought we got interfered with. Our receiver got spun all the way around. Number two, the guy caught the ball in his leg on that was a little different and stuff. So I think it was the two, right? Yeah, I'm trying to remember back.
What,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. What areas of improvement are you hoping to see against HCU this week?
We got to execute better offensively, no doubt about it. I think that's been the big thing that we have to do from an execution standpoint. Defensively, we got to quit. We have to. I say quit, but we certainly have to limit the number of explosive plays. You just can't. You got to make people drive the field and stuff. But so that's that was the several things going into the game that did not get corrected.
The issue of falling behind though, it seems like you've been playing uphill most of the year.
Yeah.
Anything you can do with that, or
No, I mean, just other than trying to, get our guys in better positions early in the game to make plays. We actually went up 7-0 Stephen F. Austin game, and had the ball and stuff. So, we had that game was a little bit different, I guess, than the other games. But, we actually the other night, if I remember right, we had a good series, the first series defensively. They got a first down, but we forced them to punt, and then obviously, and then we got a first down, and we're actually moving and then we threw the pick six and stuff. So I thought we started good defensively. As a matter of fact, I mean, I thought we were. I deferred the kick. The week before, I did something I never do. I took the ball just to try, defensively to try to, hey, just settle in, watch the game, settle in the game a little bit rather than throwing our defense out on the first series. But felt good about it, so deferred the kick, and we actually played pretty good defense the first series. And but after that, like I said, it just snowballed after that. So
After Jake Strong's performance against Southeastern, where are you hoping to see him progress
I
this
think,
week and the next?
yeah,
6
just
weeks?
like everybody else. I mean, we have to be more consistent in what we're doing, and just have to be better. And I think the good news is he's obviously played better earlier in the year and stuff. So that game wasn't his best, and he knows it. But I can say that about the head coach and a bunch of the other positions too as well. Just we all got to do better.
When you have an offensive line, to use your phrase, not play, need to play better, and you have concerns with depth, you contract the playbook, you get more vanilla.
We've tried, Rick, and yeah, I mean, and we've definitely tried that and stuff, and we've tried to do some stuff, you know, which I think that yeah, we've tried that aspect of it. I think going in, the season at this point, I mean, we have one offensive tackle on the whole team, and we've so we've moved some people, and I think you try from a split standpoint, from a protection, and chip and help, and do some type. And we've played against pretty good players here, that on that stretch too, some really good rushers and stuff. So yes, we have tried to limit that some to a certain extent, but it's against good defenses like we've played against Southeastern. I thought did a good job. Stephen F. I think is really good. They turned around and obviously did really good against Incarnate Word too in San Antonio. Utah State I thought was pretty good and stuff. So it's all sounds good, but you got to do some stuff. I mean, you can't just you can't scale it back to where you don't have enough to attack them. And so there's a fine line there. I don't know where that line is. I would love to know where how much is too much and how much is not enough. I mean, I think offensive coaches stay up late at night trying to figure that out. And but we still have to have enough in our offense to attack and to have to be able to spread the ball around and do different things and stuff. So I think Coach Bolfing and Ziegler and I go in there and we're still trying to where is that and it's a tough deal.
Is the line for better protection? Would it cross the line because you don't really have fullbacks? Now you see tight ends playing more in the fullback role. Would that cross the line of too much changes of maybe figuring out a tight end in that role?
Well, yeah, tight ends and sometimes 11 personnel and 12 personnel, they're just fullbacks. That's all they are anyway. Right. Now, what am I going to take one of them, put them in the backfield? No. I mean, I don't know who even does that anymore. I'm not interested in doing that. But what I'm saying is the old 21 personnel when I worked for Tommy Tate and stuff. I mean, that's basically now you recruit tight ends, and so that's no. I'm not interested in that. And I'm looking at Logan Ball there. I don't think he's interested in that either. Put a neck brace on him and stuff. The old fullbacks that used to laugh. Chris Lancaster was a coach here. I don't know if y'all remember Chris. He was a fullback at Clemson, and he used to swear that all his shirts now, a regular collar shirt was a turtleneck. Because he played, he lost his neck, and everything. All his shirts came up to his ears now because he had no more neck. So no, we're not going to do that.
Do you try to go with a mindset of win the second half?
We're just trying to win this week, and that's all I talk about to the players. And so no, I haven't talked about the second half. Would love to win this week, and I think that's the main thing. Just trying to to somehow figure out a way to win this week, and then we'll worry about the rest of it later. But I never talk in advance anyway. I don't care if we were 6-0. I mean, I don't ever get past the right now the main thing on my mind is Tuesday practice. So